right. Excited to be here? Yeah. Awesome. All right, how do I make this work? Cool. All right, guys. Well, everybody enjoy that video? I did that like over the summer, and it was really cool kind of trying to like put this journey video together, and just really kind of moving, kind of going back and interviewing my parents and kind of like learning the backstory of what went on when I was 5 when I didn't know what was really happening, and it's pretty intense experience. So who wants to learn or find out how I was able to drive over 10 million visitors to a brand new site in the first 45 days? All right, cool. So this is something that I did recently. So this is not something that happened a couple years ago. This is actually August 17th through October 1st of 2016. And I'm pretty excited to share this strategy with you guys. I know a lot of you guys in here are like, you're doing like e-commerce and Shopify and selling stuff online. And this strategy is, I think, right up a lot of your alley as far as building an asset. And I'm pretty sure that even if you didn't drive 10 million visitors, if you drove 1 million visitors in a month or 100,000 visitors a month, it might change your business a little bit. Is that pretty accurate? Cool. All right. So who is this for? Primarily, the main markets that benefit the most are really e-commerce sellers with, and this is the key point, the long game mindset. So actually I don't know if Ryan's here, but there he is. Yeah, so he came over, and I'm like talking to him, and I'm like, this, I hope people really get this, because this could benefit e-commerce sellers so much, but they have to like really understand the strategy. And he's like, well, it's all about the long game, right? That's what you said. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It's all about the long game. And I've been in this game for a long time, and it works remarkably well for me. And if you guys apply it, some of the principles that I share with you, it'll work for you as well. So my goal today is, it's impossible to teach you guys this stuff in 90 minutes or so, but one of the things I really want to do is I want to expand everybody's just creative thinking, flood your minds with just a bunch of ideas based on both personal as well as student experiences, using a fairly simple social strategy that I've now mastered. So, and this is important, I want to share with you what I consider a timeless strategy. So I'll share with you guys my backstory of how I got involved in this, and Peter shared a little bit about us moving to Costa Rica, and I'll give you a little bit more insight as how I got into this. But the key thing is that it's timeless, meaning it worked back then, it works today. I build an entire business around this strategy, and I drive a lot of traffic. And it's something that it worked 4 years ago, it worked 2 years ago, it works today, it's going to work 2 years from now. It's not going to change. I can almost 99% guarantee that. And most recently, and just to kind of showcase that, March 19th of 2017, we were featured in entrepreneur.com for our site that's now generating about 1.2 million visitors every single day. And the headline says, to drive massive online traffic, start with what your audience loves. And that's what I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. So at the very end, I want to share some stuff with you, and some of you guys are going to be like writing a bunch of notes, and I didn't put this in my presentation, but I'm happy to share these slides in some capacity with you after this is done. So I don't know how they're going to make that happen, but they're going to make it happen for you guys to be able to access that. But at the very end, I want to give you 2 guides that you can take these 2 guides and you can actually start implementing some of this stuff in your business. And those 2 guides are my 7-step Tribe Accelerator cheat sheet, how you build these massive tribes to drive a lot of traffic, and then the niche marketing guide, which is figuring out what niche makes sense to go into in 2017. Real quick, I know that there's a lot of like noise constantly in the time that we live in right now, and I'm going to give you guys my very best to like the next 60 to 90 minutes or so. And so if you have like stuff going on and you're doing like Facebook chat or Skype or whatever, if you could just like turn it off for like the next like 60 minutes, I really want you guys to start like thinking about some of the ideas I'm going to be presenting to you. And some of them are going to be awesome for you, and some of them you're going to be like, I don't know how this is useful for me, but there'll be some nuggets for you that you can take back. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you turn all the noise off for just the next hour or so. All right, so if you guys have questions, hopefully at the very end we'll have some time for some Q&A. If we don't, that's my personal message link, and you could send me a personal question, and I'm happy to answer it within like 2 days or so. Is usually how long it takes me to turn around questions. So again, I'm going to share the slides. You don't have to write it down, but that's my personal message link. So real quick background on me, as far as you guys saw the video, but as far as business goes, I got started as an entrepreneur when I was 19 years old. Despite popular belief, even though I'm young, a lot of people think I grew up on the internet. I didn't. I didn't have a computer until I was 18, and I used it for writing college essays, playing Minesweeper, and that's about it. So I basically, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to share with you guys is completely self-taught, and a lot of it's been completely out of necessity. So like I said, entrepreneur at 19, I started in a painting business. I was a contractor. I did network marketing, a lot of just like, traditional stuff or old school stuff. I did like roadside signs, did flyers, going to networking events. And if you guys can't tell, I'm kind of shy and introverted from my stage presence. And so for me to go and like network, it's like, hey, like I look down at the floor and it's just not great. So it was like really stepping out of my comfort zone to do that stuff. So this online stuff has been a lot more fun for me. So I did network marketing, mortgage sales, commercial real estate. And my first speaking opportunities ever were part of Jim Piccolo's former company, New Verish. Some of you guys might be familiar with it. Awesome. And through one of the mentors that helped me develop the courage to get up there and do those talks was Chad Wade, if you guys know who that is. So I got online in 2007 out of complete necessity. I was going out like 3 o'clock in the morning with a friend of mine, and we were putting out roadside signs, and we're doing like all this like crazy stuff, and I was completely burnt out from all those efforts. And he kept nudging me like, hey, you should check out Twitter and Facebook, and you could use these tools to build your business. And I didn't really get it at that time, but eventually I was like, all right, I'll look at it. And once I looked at it, I kind of fell in love with it really fast. Got myself immersed in it, started going to workshops, seminars, hiring people, getting mentors, and immerse myself in the knowledge, right? Immerse myself in the personal development in the online marketing space. By 2008, I created my first coaching program, and my coaching program was like basically teaching people how to set up Twitter profiles. And it was like very basic, but I knew that I knew a little bit more than the next person. And so I just proclaimed myself the Twitter expert, and it worked for me at that time. In 2009, I came up with a really cool idea called, and some of you guys might be familiar with it, it was called Free Block Factory. And we raised a bunch of money. I recruited 6 business partners, so 6 guys that were crazy enough to listen to my idea and get them to move out to California. And we recorded the whole thing. We started a web-based reality show. It was actually, pretty sure it was Chris Recker's idea. And it was called Unstrapped, Reality TV for Entrepreneurs. It's a picture of us in front of our McMansion at the time. And it was really cool. We got a lot of really cool local publicity. We got featured in the Orange County Register, the San Clemente Sun-Post News. This basically a bunch of like 20-somethings moving out to California, living in a house together, shooting a reality show. And what ended up happening from this for me personally is I started to have a lot of light bulb moments. We got a lot of local business owners that started calling us, and they were like, can you help us with our social media? Can you help us with managing our brands? Can you help us with building our Twitter, our Facebook, whatever it was? Can you help us? And the truth is that our company wasn't set up that way. We weren't a service company. We were a software company. We were basically providing people with WordPress blogs. And I saw a huge opportunity. And when I left that company, I launched D4Y Brand Builder, which is an agency I still currently run. And I took that little list of people that called us, and I just started cold calling them. And just being like, hey, I can help you. Remember that newspaper article you read? And I launched my agency off of something that I was fairly good at, which is cold calling, or warm calling, those people. And what ended up happening was I started to attract some pretty awesome clients and build my agency, build my brand over the last couple of years. Got to work with celebrities. Here's a picture of me with Hulk Hogan. Shot some videos together, which was a lot of fun. Guys like, a 13-year-old kid. Created viral videos. Here's a video that we created that got 27 million views on YouTube for one of my clients. Got to work with Fortune 500 companies, musicians, direct selling organizations, network marketing companies, multi-level marketing companies, and then small business entrepreneurs like a lot of you in the room are with me today. And my lifestyle started to also follow from that point, and I like to kind of give people a little snapshot into things that were important to me that I enjoy, and this stuff was really important to me. So spending more time with my family was really important to me, because by this point I was like moving around, right? I was moving to Florida, I was moving to California, I was starting the reality show. I was like constantly on the go, away from my family, and launching this agency and growing this agency allowed me to spend a lot more time with them. So I got a chance to spend a lot more time with my parents and my sister and my now beautiful wife Alina, family events, traveling the world. Like Peter said, I moved out to Costa Rica. This is actually a picture of me in Monteverde rainforest in Costa Rica, and just enjoying that experience. I'm a big fan of experiencing cultures, experiencing people, experiencing food. Here's a picture of us in Thailand, and I promise you guys that tiger is dead asleep, or that would never have happened in a million years. Even though it's a baby tiger, there's no way I would have done that. That's actually our office, Peter and I's office in Costa Rica. Every single morning, that's what we woke up to, and every single night we went to sleep to. It was awesome. Awesome experience. Here's another picture of us, or me actually, in Thailand at a temple. I also got to travel for a lot of events like this. I go to masterminds where I spend a bunch of money to hang out with my peers and learn from them. I'm constantly learning. I'm a big fan of constantly learning and also having fun. I'm a big basketball fan, and so last year we went to the NBA Finals, and that was pretty epic. We're sitting right behind Kyrie Irving, like literally right behind him, which is, I don't know if you guys even know who that is. The other thing that was really cool is a dream of mine and a dream of my wife's is we got to experience a destination wedding. This is our actual house in Riviera Maya, Mexico, that we did our vows at, and we took our selfie at directly after saying our vows to each other, and we got a chance to give our family like a dream gift of having that experience. And to me, that's something that's just priceless and really, really important, and the reason that I continue to do what I do every single day. So the reason I'm sharing the stuff that I'm sharing with you guys today, my recent social traffic success, driving millions of visitors to websites, has got me featured in a lot of really, really cool publications. So we were in Huffington Post recently. You guys saw the entrepreneur article earlier, Inc. I don't know why this clicker is like really weird. Forbes. These different publications started covering us because we've been getting like a ridiculous amount of people over to our websites and just getting a lot of buzz in the marketplace. But before I show you guys how I did that, I want to give you my little results disclaimer, because I feel like I have to. I'm not promising anybody in here that you're going to get 10 million visitors in your first 45 days. I'm certain that that's just like goes without saying, but I feel like I have to say it because I don't know what you guys are going to do with this, or if you're going to do anything, or if you're going to apply it. I have no idea. So results aren't typical because I'm not typical. I do like crazy stuff and I get crazy results. However, I do have a screenshot on here. This is one of my students, and in his first 50 days, he got 250,000 visitors to a brand new site. Not 10 million, but 250,000 is pretty good in a little niche. So would that be pretty cool if you did that, 250,000 in 50 days? Not too bad. All right, so let me give you guys a little backstory of kind of how I got involved in this and kind of how this all evolved. So in 2013, Peter and I moved to Costa Rica. I actually called Peter and I said, hey, I'm moving to Costa Rica, and I just want to let you know because we're in this business together. And he's like, I want to go. I'm like, when are you going? I'm like, next week. And or it was like 10 days. I don't know how long it was. 2 weeks?
It was close. And then I was like, all
Yeah, it was short. It was less than 30 days that like we were on a plane flying down to Costa Rica. And my heavy focus in 2013 was on Facebook pages, and there's a reason for it. I had a friend down there, and I'm not showing his identity. Some of you guys might know who it is if you remember those days, or you were part of that whole part of that journey. But I was watching my buddy. I'm going to call him Mr. X. He's a very private person. He was crushing it using community pages. And the crazy thing is that he was surfing like practically all day, every day. Like he was just out surfing and going out to the beach, and he was just generating a ton of traffic, a ton of leads, a ton of sales, making a bunch of money using these community pages. And I didn't really quite get it, and I'm sure you guys are probably going to be like scratching your head a little bit the first couple of slides that we go through. But he was crushing it, and I was just like, what is going on? So he runs some very successful community pages. I'm going to give you just some examples of them. So here's one of them. I Love Country Music, 1.1 million fans, and this is an older screenshot. I think it's at 1.5 million fans by now. Duck Dynasty Fan Club, 1.4 million fans. And he was building these pages at the time really, 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 really cheap. Right? And he started showing me some of his proof of like what he was doing, the very little bit of time I can get from him. He was getting this campaign here, 13,000 fans for 2 pennies a like. Right? Here's another one, 18,000 likes for a penny a like. Here's this last one here, 26,000 likes for about half a penny a like, or like 3/4 of a penny a like. Just really, really, really cheap. And I was like intrigued by it. I didn't really understand it, but I begged him to teach me. It took, I don't know, probably like 2 or 3 weeks to get this guy to like sit down. And it wasn't like he was actually teaching me. It was just like, hey, you're going to sit and work, and I'm going to sit behind you and watch you, and I'm going to figure out what you're doing. But finally, I was able to sit down and watch him write a bunch of notes, get him to show me a couple of things. And this is my very, very first week using the system that I learned from him. So it wasn't penny likes, it wasn't 2 penny likes, it wasn't even 3 penny likes, but my first week, 9,200 fans to a brand new page for about $350. And over time, I got better, right? So this is a page I started on June 29th of 2013, and within just a couple of months, took this page to 117,000 fans. Here's another fan page that I had a client approach me, and they're like, hey, Arthur, we have this fan page. We've been hovering at like 4,000 fans. We can't seem to get it to grow. Can you help us? I know that you're doing this. And over just a couple of months, I helped them get it to about 50,000 fans and start selling more products for their business. And remember that first campaign I just showed you guys like a couple slides ago, the 9,000 or whatever? So I took the screenshot April 6th. This is a page we still run today. It's actually one of my favorite pages, even though it's not the biggest, but it's one of my favorites because it's a passion of mine. 796,000 fans on this fan page right now. So we still do this today. We still run this today. We still grow this today. And the crazy thing about it isn't so much the size of the fan page, it's the engagement, right? Like, so this is a week. This is March 31st, 2017 through April 6th, 2017, where this page reached 10 million people. And we had 3.5 million engagements, likes, comments, shares on that page in just 7 days. So crazy engagement. It's not just like about that size. And back when I started in like 2013, 2014, like showing people what I was doing, people would say to me, but Arthur, I can buy likes on Fiverr.com, or I can go to these, I can go spend $100 and get 100,000 fans. If anybody's doing that in here, please, just as like your new friend, don't do that. Those pages are completely worthless, and you might as well throw them away and start over. And people still do that today. And like I said, if you guys are doing that, please stop. The truth is that you cannot buy this type of engagement by doing that. This is a brand new page. This is actually my wife's page that I helped her start back in December. Early December. We took the screenshot a couple weeks in. It only had 6,600 fans when we took the screenshot. And on any given day, we were reaching 5,000, 6,000 people every single day, getting about 1,000 likes, comments, and shares on our posts on a tiny page, just getting really, really crazy engagement. Here's another one that's a little bit bigger. And any given day, a post would get 100,000, 150,000 likes, comments, and shares on the posts. So just getting ridiculous amount of people's just attention on it and reacting to these posts. So, the question is always like, you can't buy raving fans, or can you, right? And here's a bunch of posts where you guys can see, tens of thousands of likes, thousands of shares, thousands of comments, people like raving fans just engaging with this content. Here's something a little bit more recent. This is October 26th. This is a post I did on one of my entertainment pages. And I don't know if you guys can see that. It's kind of small. This is an organic post. We didn't boost it. We didn't do anything to it. And actually, I shouldn't have said boost it, because friends don't let friends boost posts. 55,000 likes, 142,000 shares on this organic post on a page that at the time maybe had 200 or 300,000 fans. Here's another one that's really, really cool. You guys want to know how we drive visitors to our site. And I get a lot of people that say, Facebook is throttling my reach. They're not getting people over to my site. I can't do anything organic. I have to spend money on traffic or it doesn't work. This is an organic post going to our website. And you guys can see that red box where it says mondaynetwork.com. That's the site that it's going to. It's an organic post that got 237,000 clicks over to our website, and we didn't spend any money on it whatsoever. This can be done in virtually any niche. I've done 250 plus of these pages. Here's just some of the different verticals that I've been in. Music, jewelry. Some of you are selling jewelry in here. Hobbies, religion, yoga, meditation, real estate, motivational type stuff, sports teams, health and fitness, health and wellness, dog stuff, specific breeds, specific shows, different professions. Some of you are selling stuff to like specific professions, whether it's like nurses or engineers or teachers. I think I heard somebody talking about it yesterday. And I know by this point what a lot of people start asking themselves, because this is kind of what I was asking myself for probably 3 months while I was learning and doing, is how does doing a page about a TV show or jewelry or dogs make real world dollars? Is anybody asking themselves that? Or do you guys just like totally get it already? No. Okay, so some of you are asking yourself that question, and the way that I answer it now is, how do brands make money advertising to people watching those shows, right? And then the follow-up is that, why would companies spend millions upon millions of dollars on advertising on TV, advertising on the Super Bowl? Why would they do that? The answer is pretty simple, and it's they know who is watching, and so do I. With social, and you guys all know this because you're in your accounts every single day, right? We can track virtually everything, right? We can find out, are they male, are they female, what age groups they're in, what interests they have, what languages they speak. We can learn everything we possibly can think of about them, especially once you guys dive into like audience insights and really start diving deep, looking at how many kids they have and what their income levels are, like all sorts of stuff. You can track virtually everything through Facebook and through social, right? You can look at, when are these people online? When is the best time to post to them and get in front of them, so you can drive mass engagement and reach. Now, once you know your demographic, you can figure out what to market to them. Now, a lot of you already have a product, and some of you maybe don't have a product, and you're still trying to figure it out, right? So you can also find something you want to market. So if you have a product or service already, most likely product, you can build a demographic that you want, right? So there's two ways to kind of look at it. And I'll tell you guys, when I first started, I had no product and I had no service. I was living in Costa Rica, I was learning the strategy, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to sell. And I started getting a bunch of ideas, and I'm going to just like dump all these ideas that I got back then on you now. But I started with something simple back then. This is Amazon. This is my first month being kind of taken by the hand. And $2,000 like selling as a little Amazon affiliate. I started going to CPA networks and affiliate networks, right? I didn't have a product. I was like, I got to sell other people's stuff. And so I started like kind of exploring things like Commission Junction and Max Bounty and JVZoo and ClickBank and Convert to Media, these different CPA accounts, and finding products I could sell to these various communities, right? And then once I really cracked the code on this, once I figured out how the CPA stuff works, and how to properly bridge market it to my audience, I started to create some pretty big paydays. And this is an older screenshot from when we first started at this. And what is cool about it is the days got shorter and shorter, and the payouts got bigger and bigger, and it just kind of evolved and kept growing, right? This is one of our CPA accounts. Also back then, a really, really big thing was t-shirts. This is my very first 2 weeks ever with print on demand. This is the end of October, very, very end of October. $3,000 my very, very first 2 weeks. It still works today. I know that to be true because I do it, and I know there's a lot of you in here that do print on demand as well. And just like everything else, 6 weeks later, I got a lot better at it. But I was still using the same strategy. We weren't spending money to get people there. We were basically pouring in into the community and driving organic traffic. And 6 weeks later, in that same 2-week time period, $35,000 in revenues, from $3,000 to $35,000, just continuously getting better and better and better, learning our audiences better, understanding what they like, understanding their hot buttons. And it still works today, right? This is a Shopify store that we run for our big content site. We have all sorts of collections, all sorts of different niches that we're in. So it still works today. And you guys, the guy that's speaking after me, he's actually like one of the guys I silently learned a lot of stuff from. He has a company that plugs into Shopify. So you have companies like Guten and Printful, and then there's a guy here, Don, you'll hear from him after me, or at some point today, and he runs a company called GearBubble, and GearBubble plugs in with Shopify. And there's so many tools that you can integrate your Shopify stores with and do print on demand just seamlessly. What about some other monetization ideas? So building an email list. Anybody building an email list in here? Hopefully most of you. So one of the most effective uses of your fan page is to build up a super targeted list. And the benefit, if you don't know, is building up a targeted email list is you get extremely high open rates and click-through rates on these super targeted lists. Can anybody tell me, like, what is typically your open rates on your lists, like, approximately? Anybody want to shout some out? How much? That's pretty good. So 33%. That's awesome. So these targeted lists, what was that? Oh, I thought somebody else said something. They get really, really high open rates and really, really high click-through rates. Here's a screenshot of one of our lists, one of these targeted lists, and you guys can see between 40% to 60% open rates and click-through rates of 10%, 12%, 18%. And it's because they're really passionate. The topics are very niche, and people are really, really highly engaged with this stuff. And they're opting in because they actually want to receive whatever it is we're sending them, whether it's an infographic, a report, a video, whatever it might be. Here's another one. So you can see some compare and contrast. 26%, 14%. We had an email that sucked and got 5% open rate. 37%. So different accounts, different results, different deliverability. But overall, really high open rates and really high click-through rates. You could also build a niche website. And the cool thing about building a niche website is you guys are in full control. Once people leave Facebook or your community, wherever it lives, whatever social platform it lives on, and they go to your site, you're in full control. Whatever happens at that point, you basically are in full control. You can take them to your list. You can retarget them, get them to a webinar. You can retarget them, get them to your Shopify store, buying more stuff. You can do all sorts of stuff. This is my very, very first content or niche site from 4 years ago, and it wasn't 10 million. First 30 days, 11,690 people visited. I was like ecstatic because I didn't think it was possible. But what was really cool is I took a screenshot at the end of 2015 on SimilarWeb as a tool we use, and this same site, 3.7 million views in any given month. Here's one from November of 2016, 7.2 million views on visitors on any given month. Right? It just kept growing and growing and growing. The content sites tend to do that really well. You could also use Facebook communities to fill live events. I don't know if this is relevant for you guys or if you do live events, but if you do, you can use these communities to do that. Here's an actual event. We did an event in Las Vegas 4 years ago in August, and we used this tiny page to help us fill the room. And we did a little bit of advertising. We also used the community aspect of the page, and this is the room that we filled. Some of you might have been in that room. I'm actually pretty sure Ryan was in that room with us in Vegas. Remember that one? And it wasn't just me getting the results, right? I had a bunch of people that have gone through this and have experienced the results. And a really, really cool story. Does anybody know Jesse Doback? I guess nobody knows Jesse. But he's a big Facebook expert when it comes to building these communities. And he happened to be in the room in Vegas when we did that event 4 years ago. And when he came with a friend of his. They came from San Diego. He literally had $1,000 left to his name. And as you guys can probably imagine, most people were saying to him, "What are you doing? Like, you know, stop like chasing youth strategies. Go get a job. Like, this is crazy. Why are you going to learn something new?" And he took half of the money he had to his name. He literally had $1,000. He shares this from stage all the time. He took 500 of the 1,000 he had, and he built this page called Plus Size and Proud. He's in the plus size women niche. That's the niche he's in. He built it to 25,000 fans, and they were selling print on demand for this niche, for this audience. And they were doing just organic, just real organic stuff. They were mixing in 2 organic link posts per day. Of the 10 posts that they were doing every single day, it looked something like this. Let me go back. So they used a short link to track the clicks, and they're selling these Halloween costumes and shirts. The event was in August, and it was basically like leading up to Halloween, right? They came, they learned their strategy at our event. They started implementing right away. They built this giant page, and they were just mixing in these organic link posts. They weren't boosting. They weren't putting money behind them. They were just running it to this page. And in the first 6 weeks, they made 40 sales in their e-commerce store. And for them, it was massive. I actually got Jesse to share those screenshots with me from way back when. This is the month of September, and then also month of October, all the way leading up to Halloween. And what that equated to as far as money was $8,500 in sales in 6 weeks. Right? It's a premium niche, apparently. 40 sales, 8,500. It's pretty good. It still works for him today. Right? I got him to share this with me a couple weeks ago. He's got a page at close to 1 million fans. He's reaching 65 million people every single week organically. He's getting 5.6 million engagements on a weekly basis with this one page. It's pretty intense. And most of his audience is in the US, the UK, Canada, Australia, English-speaking countries. And that's the niche that he's in. He needs English-speaking customers. Right? Pretty cool stuff. So now spending the last 500 of the 1,000 that he had to his name, it wasn't so crazy anymore. Right? And what was really, really cool is, and the reason I love sharing the story, is he got a call from an individual by the name of Brendan Burchard. Does anybody know who that is? If you don't know who it is, that's what he looks like. And he's a New York Times bestselling author. He's written 4 books and top 100 most followed public figures on Facebook. Larry King endorsed him recently. Brendan called Jesse and got Jesse to do all his Facebook marketing. And if you guys have seen Brendan's Facebook campaigns skyrocket over the last couple of years, Jesse was behind that, applying the strategies that he learned. He ended up getting calls from Shailene Johnson. He got calls from Russell Brunson. He started helping some of these different gurus in the space with the same type of strategies and growth. And he wasn't building Brendan Burchard's page. He was building community pages on behalf of Brendan Burchard. It's pretty awesome, guys, when the student becomes the master, isn't it? I love those stories, and we have a ton of them that we've helped craft throughout the years. And I got one of my favorite memes right there, Karate Kid. So, all right. So who wants to know like the fundamentals of how I drove over 10 million visitors in the first 45 days? All right, cool. All right, so I have 3 secrets I want to share with you on how I did this. And this is essentially what they are. So number 1 is people engage with communities, not brands. And I'll show you guys examples of that and how that works. Number 2 is buy culture, not just cold traffic. And secret number 3 is content is king, which is cliche for any content marketers, but mine has an ending to it. Content is king only when you practice what I call the congruency doctrine. And I'll take you through exactly what I mean by that and how that works. All right, so secret number 1, people engage with communities, not brands. Right? So, Inc., before I get into this, so Inc. did an article on us on the content site that we launched. This is February of 2017. And the headline said, "Brand is out and social community building is in." And the subheadline, if you guys can't read it, says, "If 2016 was the year of the brand, 2017 will be the year of the community as we seek more and better ways to authentically connect with our clients." I believe that to be 100% true, like hands down, both 2017 and 2020 and so on and so forth, because I don't think that people are going to stop like caring about being a part of a tribe or being a part of a community. Like, I don't think that's ever going to go out of style, regardless of how much technology comes into the scene and distracts us from each other. So the brand page versus the community page. I want to show you guys some like real examples of why I believe the community page is so much more powerful than the brand page, and real examples from my own collection here. So the first page, the slide didn't come through right. So the first page that you guys have there is Petco. You guys familiar with Petco? Pretty big pet food company. 3 million fans, giant fan page. And I took a recent screenshot of, so April 17th, they put a post up on their page, and they got 517 likes, and it's like a cute picture. Houdini has arrived at the Petco office, probably user submitted, or from one of their employees. 517 likes, 13 shares, 45 comments, right? And I wanted to show like a side-by-side example. Petco is a huge company, 3 million fans, right? Giant brand, right? I also grabbed a screenshot of one of my community pages called I Love Rescue Dogs. It's actually a tiny page. It's got, I think, where about 500,000 fans, a sixth of where Petco's at. And you guys can see, I pulled the post specifically at like almost the same time. So they're like side-by-side comparisons. And that post got about 4 times the amount of engagement on the post, right? 127 comments, 150 shares, 1.7 likes, just a lot more engaged. And of course, my screenshots here are working really well. But the back of that shows the actual page, and it's a 500,000 person page. It's a lot smaller than the brand page, right? And the really cool thing is that the daily averages, right? The daily reach, the daily engagement of this page are just huge, right? Reaching about 300,000 people every single day on just this one page, right? Getting engagements of 42,000 on average every single day, likes, comments, and shares on the post that we put up there. Here's another example, a little bit more direct. So this is Big Bang Theory, which, anybody familiar with that show? Kind of a geek, if you haven't picked up on that. So Big Bang Theory is one of my favorite shows, and then so their verified page on Facebook has 32 million fans, pretty massive page. And I took a post from April 15th from their page, and I was a lot more impressed with them versus what I got on Petco. Obviously, a lot bigger page. 10,000 likes, 150 shares, about 200 comments on this particular post. I pulled one of the posts from April 15th, exactly the same day that I published on my community page called Addicted to the Big Bang Theory, completely organic. Reached 500,000 people, got 19,000 likes, 2,500 shares, 12,000 comments on a completely organic post. And the cool thing is that, I'm going to go back, this page has 500,000 fans, not 32 million. Here's another post that's pretty insane. This is the one I showed you guys earlier. Got 104,000 likes, 357,000 shares, completely organically on this page. This is back from October of 2016. That's a good point. That's a really good point. I got to go back and look. That's true.
That's huge.
Man, I'm good. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to repeat what was said down here. It's not that important. And like I said before, guys, like the important thing here is that it's the engagement, and it's consistent engagement on these pages. And so like I just like showing these screenshots. This is February of 2017, where we reached 6 million people in the month of February. 1.7 million engagements in that month. It was actually a pretty slow month for this page, and it still like did remarkably well. So community pages are all about cashing in on your passion. not just having this one-way communication. If you guys saw those posts and actually read the posts from like Petco or the Big Bang Theory page, they're like talking at their fans. They're not trying to really engage them. Even though they're asking questions, it doesn't feel like a community. Whereas the posts that we put up, I mean, a lot of the content's user-generated. Our people are giving us the content. Hey, please post a picture of my dog. Hey, please post a picture of me wearing this cool T-shirt that I bought from you. They're all about cashing in on your passion. And the common question that I get from people still to this day is, how do I pick the right community topic, which I think is vitally important to do this the right way. And so I want to give you guys the core components of a hot niche, and I'm going to credit Don if he's in the room, because I got this like straight from him back in like 2013 from one of his courses, and I've applied it every single time, and it works every single time if I just stick to these 3 core components to picking whether or not my niche that I'm going into is going to be hot or it's going to be like a complete flop, right? So number 1, and I was actually sharing this with some folks I went to dinner with last night. Number 1 is, it's got to be an irrational passion. It's got to be something someone's irrationally passionate about, right? Are people irrationally passionate about their dogs, right? Are they irrationally passionate about their pets, about like are people irrationally passionate about CrossFit? Right? Irrational passions. It's got to be irrationally passionate, or it's just, if you leave that one out and you put the other 2 in, it's still not going to work. That's one of the most important ones. I pulled a picture of an event that happens probably a couple times a year. Would you say that these people are irrationally passionate? I mean, I'm not, like, hopefully, I'm not going to offend anybody that goes to this, and I know there's probably a couple of you in here that do. But I mean, people are dressed up in their favorite superhero outfit, and they go to this event, and they hang out with a bunch of other adults at this event, and they're like excited, and they're ridiculously passionate about this thing, right? So it's got to be something like that. Number 2 is, I want you guys to think social, and I know you're already thinking about that, because a lot of you are doing print on demand. So social meaning, like, will they wear it on a T-shirt? Right? Would they wear their favorite breed on a T-shirt? Would they wear, Namaste from yoga on a T-shirt, or like whatever quote from yoga on a T-shirt? Would they wear like their favorite politician, or maybe they would? I don't know. Depends on how hardcore they are. Their favorite, whatever it is, right? Would they wear it on a T-shirt? And number 3 is, it's got to affect at least 1 in every 250 people for it to be considered a hot niche. So some topics would be things like fitness, politics, entertainment. Dogs. I pulled a screenshot from Google. Pulled a screenshot from Google a couple weeks ago. Just grabbed this little, where it says 82.5 million U.S. households own a pet. 2 out of 3 households have pets, up from 1988 when only 1 in 2 households had pets. Would this be a hot niche? Yeah. Right? And here's just some examples of the many different pages that we run, just to kind of, again, get you guys thinking. Everything from dogs to music to crafts to parenting to music. I already said music. So rock and roll, country, and shows, and gaming, working out, sports, food, right? All sorts of verticals that this works in. And after doing this and having built so many of these pages over the years, I've done 250 to date, I decided to create a guide, because eventually it's like, okay, there's too many to pick from. Let me create a guide that I could actually stick to myself. I selfishly create these guides for myself so that I can stick to my own rules that I create. We put it into a guide. I'm going to share this with you guys at the very end, so you can see some of my topics: health and fitness, sports teams, viral videos, politics, gun control, controversial type stuff, right? Marijuana works really well in. I'll show you an example later of that one. TV shows, music. And one of the things I have to tell you is, anybody that's really like kind of concerned, like, oh, well, I don't want to build a community because it's going to tarnish my brand, or I'm really brand centric, I'm focusing on building my brand right now. Building a hot niche community helps you build a long-term brand. And I'll prove it to you guys with a real example. I'll share it with you at the very, very end of this presentation. You will build a long-term brand that's bigger than your community, and it will surpass your community within months if you do this right. All right, so secret number 2 is why creating culture is always better than buying cold traffic in virtually any industry. And I do have to preface this just a little bit and just say that I am not at all suggesting to you guys that direct response marketing doesn't work. I know it works because there's like people doing it in here and I'm doing it, and there's a bunch of like direct response marketing works extremely well. My agency promotes building sales funnels and driving cold traffic to offers, but the big but is a highly engaged culture plus direct response marketing together. You create more assets, more profits, and a long-term sustainable and evergreen business. And that's what's really, really important. So what type of assets can community pages help you create? We talked about some of them earlier, right? We talked about the email list with our really high open and click-through rates. We talked about niche sites. We talked about going out and finding products on ClickBank or JVZoo or whatever. We talked about some of these different assets that you can build. Here's a couple more for you guys to really think about. If you guys thought, did you guys think email was cool, that you can get those really high open rates and click-through rates? You thought that was pretty cool? So I don't know if you guys have seen this or have started using this, but this is something I saw at Traffic and Conversions, which is a big event that happens once a year. Roland shared this from stage, and I was just like, whoa, that's crazy. Email average open rate, 22.87%. That's like global average. Messenger, Facebook Messenger open rate, 84.3%. That's 4 times higher open rate. It's like almost every single person that you send a message to is going to open it, right? 28% click rate, over 3% on email. So what are Facebook Messenger lists? How do you use them? So I used my Big Bang Theory page as an example. 2 different places. One place is the button at the top when people come to your site. So where it says Shop Now, you would change that to Message Us. And then you could also click on that little Get Messages button. When you click on it, it opens up something that looks like this. You could change the text. You could change the image. You could change everything. And then that button right there is going to say Send us a message. Right? And they can immediately interact with you. And the really, really cool thing about that is you can respond to them automatically just like you would with your email lists. So here's an example of this in action of a recent little case study we did. It's a controversial niche, obviously. We put, hi guys and gals, we're putting together a petition for nationwide legalization. Will you message us and let us know if we can count on your vote? Instead of doing the message thing, we put a link in the comment, which is the actual short link, which is m.me, and then the fan page URL. You guys might want to write that down for your pages if you're using them. It's it's a Facebook shortcode, m.me, whatever the fan page URL is, the username. It goes directly to Messenger. Right? So we posted that, and in a couple hours, 568 leads subscribed to our Facebook Messenger list. And what's really, really cool is we use this tool called ManyChat for our pages. And you can set up broadcasts, send out to the entire list. You can set up sequences on a daily basis, hourly basis, whatever you guys do in your autoresponders. Imagine being able to follow up with your customers and be like, hey, I know you bought this, but what about this? Or inputting your product catalog. And I mean, it goes a little too, I'm gonna back up. I'm gonna go a little too deep if I go there. But auto posting, you could do live chat on demand. You could do growth tools. You could do everything inside of this really cool little tool. Anybody using ManyChat right now? Cool, awesome. You guys can also generate leads, right? This is a joint venture or affiliate campaign we did with a company called Native Commerce, or private lead gen campaigns, and we ran it on one of our community pages. You guys can also do mirror campaigns. Anybody doing mirror campaigns? A little advanced. Anybody? No? Okay. Basically, run simultaneous ads on Facebook as your Infusionsoft or Entreport or Actionetics or whatever CRM you guys use. Emails are going out, so your ads are mirroring your emails. So as your emails are going out, you have ads running at the same time with the same messaging to that same audience. And there's a company out there that does this really, really well and helps you with that, and it's called Drift Rock Flow. One of my favorites. A couple more ideas for you guys. So you could drive people to your site or blog. You could collect pixel or IP data. We use a tool called siphoncloud.com to collect IP data. Looks something like this, list-wise. We'll segment people based on which categories they came in from. And why would we build pixel data or IP data? Why is this relevant? It's a little bit more advanced, but I mean, you guys are using pixels. You kind of get it, right? You're training your audiences. Facebook gets smarter. We kind of do the same thing. We just use our own pixel. And the reason that we do that is we can start looking at who these people are, right? We can look at their gender, their age, their income. Like, we can look at all these different things that you can get on Facebook. But we go even deeper with the pixel data. We can look at their purchase behavior, what stores they shop at, what pain medications they buy, what cars they drive. We can look at their personality types. We can look at their job functions. We can look at what companies they work for. I mean, it goes really, really, really deep as far as what we can see on these people. You could also drive social traffic, become a publisher, and sell ad space on your own site. So if you guys are doing content marketing or you're going to create your own site, you can become a publisher. You can sell advertising direct, business to business, so find other people that want to advertise and sell space on your site. You can go to the third-party tool like buysell-ads.com, and this site will literally sell your advertising for you. And then you could also use tools like Outbrain or Taboola or Google AdSense or Rev Content. There's hundreds of these native ad platforms that exist that will literally fill up all of your inventory that you have. You'll never not have a way to monetize your traffic. You guys can also perform retargeting, and we'll leave it at this last one here. So send them to the same funnel or website step, again with a different look. Hopefully, if you're doing Shopify, you're doing retargeting, or you're learning how to do it. Send them to a different offer. You could also send them to a next step in the funnel, even if they didn't take the action you were looking for. You could use something like AdRoll, Perfect Audience. You could use Facebook's retargeting, Google's retargeting. Lots of different options that you have. And this is just a screenshot from one of my clients that said, it's never going to work for us. We spent $1,600 and made $18,000 in 2 weeks. All right. So how exactly do I build these communities? Does anybody want to know that piece of it? Cool. So the 3 simple steps that make Facebook culture building campaigns work. And the key word on there, can anybody guess what the key word is? Simple. Super simple. And I have to put this so easy a caveman can do a Geico infomercial on here for you. It's really, really, really simple. I remember when Mr. X was showing me the strategy, I was frustrated because I was like, no, I want the real thing. I want the secret. Anybody ever looking for the secret? I was looking for the secret too. There is no secret. It's super, super simple. And I'm going to share with you the 3 simple steps that make the culture building piece of it really, really, really easy to do. So number 1 is a well-targeted audience, right? You guys are looking for likes, and you want your ad to show to the most relevant audience, who are most likely to raise their hand and say yes or like the page when you ask them to. And so let's talk about some ideas on determining your audience demographic. These are some of my favorites. There's probably 100 other ways to do this, but this is exactly what I do, right? So I use something called AdSprouts. I use Media Kits. So there's a website out there called AdSprouts. I think they recently changed their name to just Media Kits. So I'll give you guys an example. If I'm doing a rock and roll page and I want to figure out what type of audience or demographic do I want to target, I'll go to AdSprouts. I'll pick up the Rolling Stone magazine Media Kit. I'll look at who reads that publication, and they will literally give me the audience demographic. Right? If I'm in the golf space, I'm running a golf page, and I'm selling golf products, and I want to build a community around it, I'm going to go to Golf Magazine and pull the demographic. Right? Same thing for photography, Shutterbug Magazine, whatever magazine is related to that niche. You can also use something called Follow.net or Quantcast or SimilarWeb. There's a ton of these like online tools you could do research on, and you could actually plug in a domain that people visit. So let's say you're in sports. You can put in like BleacherReport.com, and these websites will, on a silver platter, say, these are the people that read this website and visit the site, and this is how many kids they have, and this is their income, and this is the type of stuff they like to buy, and pretty much give you everything that you want to know. And then, of course, there's good old Facebook Audience Insights. Looks something like this. Anybody use this tool? Hopefully all of you. You click on everyone on Facebook, you put in the interest, and Facebook will tell you not only how many people are interested in this stuff, but who they are. They'll give you everything that you want to know about these people. All right, so understanding and identifying the demographic is step number 1. Step number 2 is an attention-grabbing image. Your ad image for your Facebook like campaigns or your ad campaigns for building this audience is the key to getting your prospective fans' attention, right? It's the image that's going to draw them to your ad so they can read the headline and the text and whatever your message to them is. Pretty simple and self-explanatory. Some different tips for that, around that. Number one is I want you guys to avoid using logos. They're both impersonal. They do not create any kind of connection. It's self-explanatory, but I've seen people do it time and time again, and it's crazy because they don't really get results with that. Number two is smiling faces over landscape backgrounds. What do I mean by that? If you can use a photo with a face in it, then do it every single time. And there's always a way to crop a face into a photo. So let's say an example is I love biking page, like a cycling page. I actually run one called I Love Cycling. A biker looking at the camera is better than a landscape shot of a bunch of bikers. This is what it looks like. This girl right here looking directly at the camera is far better than this group shot of a bunch of bikers. You guys can see how you can connect with this girl a lot better, right, than whatever's going on over there in that mess. Now, of course, you're not going to use that picture because you have to crop it and edit it and make it a certain size. But regardless, that picture is going to work far better. You're going to get a higher click-through rate and a lower cost per like. Color borders help, but avoid the color blue or the Facebook color blue. Really important. It's going to just kind of merge in and not going to really work for you. Tools I use for making ad images, keeping this really, really simple. I use poor man's Photoshop. This is actually Chris Records' term, aka PowerPoint. This is my actual PowerPoint slides where I make my images, or my team now makes them, but we use PowerPoint to do it. We use clippingmagic.com, so you see how I cropped John Lennon's head out of a photo? I use Clipping Magic to do that. Really cool tool, really easy to use. I use adtext.com to create memes. And finally, I use Jing for capturing the image. I keep things ridiculously simple. No Photoshop in my office, unless we're creating design, like nice design. So step number 3, a logical headline and an appropriate call to action. I promise you guys I'll bring it all together here in a second once we get through this third step. So the headline of your ad is going to serve as the qualifier, and you're going to seal the deal with your call to action, right? Pretty self-explanatory or simple concept. And again, I have to preface this, and I purposely made this slide blank because it's going to look ridiculously simple. Here's a couple of right side ads for you guys to look at. So this is a couple of right side ads. One says, love Pink Floyd. That's the headline. Then like us. We still use these today, by the way. Love English Bulldogs, then like us. Pretty silly, but still works. Here's one that we're doing right now for rescue dogs. Logical headline says, do you love rescue dogs? And an appropriate call to action is click like if you support rescue dogs. Pretty silly, but works remarkably well. Here's a couple more. Pit bulls. It says, click like if you love pit bulls and hip-hop. What? What does hip-hop have to do with it? We found when you take an interest of the audience that you're targeting and you add that to the headline, it converts really well. Apparently people that have pit bulls love hip-hop. Here's another one for country music. It says, click like if you love Garth Brooks and country music, and it's got that colorful border around it, and that ad works really, really well. And here's an actual screenshot of our ads that were run today. And you could see, like anybody that tells me we can't get penny likes anymore, they're lying. We get penny likes, we get 2 penny likes, 3 penny likes, this still works today. So quick couple bonus tips. Facebook like ads typically don't work or cost a lot more as desktop newsfeed ads. So don't run them as desktop newsfeed ads. We only use usually the mobile newsfeed or the desktop right column ads for like campaigns. And number 2, and this one is important but also a little more on the advanced side, but only have one ad per ad set and start with broad targeting. And when I say broad targeting, I'm talking about age, gender, and location before you niche down. And this is a little bit of a polar opposite to what you probably most of you have learned when it comes to like direct response. It's usually like the other way around with running product direct response campaigns to a Shopify store. All right, so secret number 3 is content is king, but only when you practice what I call the congruency doctrine. So I'm going to go through this really fast, and then I'm going to break it down. And it's going to feel a little overwhelming, but it will make sense at the end of it. So there's 4 parts of this. Part number 1 is trending topics. So we're going to go out. We're going to find trending topics to research in our niche. Right? And I'll show you guys how we do that. Once we've done our research, we're going to start culture buying or media buying, right? Buying ads on those topics. Once we do that, we'll start social posting on our community pages around those topics, so topics that are congruent or relevant to our media buying targets and also the trending topics that we researched. If we have a content site, it's not required, but if we have one, then we're going to start creating content for that site on topics that are relevant to the topics we've been culture buying and social posting and doing research for. And then once we create that content, we post it on our page, and then we repeat the process over and over and over again. If you feel like this right now, it's totally cool. Relax and watch. You can do this. I'll show you an example of doing this in action. So when it comes to doing research on trending topics, we use a tool called BuzzSumo for finding viral content. We also use Google Trends, which is a really cool tool to kind of look at trends of like specific interests and keywords, as it relates to mostly newsworthy type stuff. And then a recent tool that I really love is called Depictions. I'm a big fan of it. This is one I recently started using and training on with our team. And we did an actual case study to prove the congruency doctrine. We literally set up a content site and created real content just to prove how well this works. So we did some research on, I'm going to use rock and roll as the niche, okay, just to keep us all on the same page. I'm going to use rock and roll as the example. We did a search for classic rock back in September of 2016, and we found that there's 4 trending topics at the time that were being talked about a lot. And when I say classic rock, I'm talking about like 60s, 70s rock type stuff, okay, or even 50s. That's what our topics are on our page. We did some research. We found there's 4 key bands we want to focus on. So once we did our research, we found that those 4 bands were Tom Petty, Fleetwood Mac, the Beatles, and Queen. That's what we started focusing on. We started doing media buying. We started buying ads for those different bands. Now, once we did that, what's the next step? It's social posting. We use a tool called FanPage Robot, and we started doing posts that were related or congruent to our media buying targets, right? Those 4 targets that we just found. It looks something like this, right? We had posts on Fleetwood Mac, on Queen, we had posts on Tom Petty, and we had posts on the Beatles. What would happen if we posted something about Nickelback or the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Nothing. Yeah. It would just fall flat on its face. It wouldn't have thousands of likes or hundreds of comments and shares. It wouldn't have all that because it's not congruent. It's got to be relevant. It's got to be what your audience wants because it's the topics you researched and the topics you're advertising for, so your audience is full of those types of people. We started to then create content on a brand new site, and in the month of October, I went to the site and I took a screenshot of the most popular category, and 3 out of the 4 topics that we were heavily focused on were the topics were the most popular articles on the blog. Tom Petty, Queen, and the Beatles. The only reason the 4th one wasn't there is it didn't fit. There's only 5 slots for it that were available. So what does it look like when all of these work seamlessly and congruently together? It looks like this. Like I said, this is a complete case study. We started doing the research at the end of September, started driving traffic in December and January, and in those 2 months, 684,000 page views, or visitors, or page views rather, over to our site. 177,000 visitors, 3.85 sessions per page. I don't know if you guys know what that means, but it's pretty huge. So on that one site. When you guys are able to systematize it and scale it up, you start to do, what I was originally here to talk about, right? 10 million visitors in the first 45 days. This is a tool called siphoncloud.com. We use it to collect IPs and block bots from our site. Quick little content research tip that I want to share with you guys. So if you plan on doing a content site, this is my process for doing content research and to keep things congruent. We use 3 tools. We use SEMrush, we use Answer the Public, and we use BuzzSumo together. This might be too complex, but we basically go out and find the top 20 keywords in a niche. So again, using the rock and roll as the example, top 20 keywords in rock and roll using a tool called SEMrush. We then find the top 10 sites with 250,000 monthly visitors or more that are visiting, 250,000 monthly visitors visiting those sites that are related to those keywords. And we kind of collect them and compile them so we can keep looking at them later and keep learning more about their audiences. We then go to Answer the Public and we plug in all of our top 20 keywords into Answer the Public, and Answer the Public will literally tell you this is what people are searching for and are interested in when it comes to like search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bing, whatever. They type in those keywords, and that's the questions they're asking. We then take those questions to BuzzSumo to try to figure out what's the most viral content that exists, and how can we create a content calendar around those questions. So we create a content calendar for 30, 60, 90 days of all the topics we're going to write about, so we never run out of content. We do this every 60 to 90 days, and we have content calendars right now lined up for 3 years. Just applying that process. Yeah. All right. The second tip is keep records. So we follow congruency doctrine in our team. We have a media buying department, a social media department, and content. Obviously, I run a lot of pages. If it's just you with one page, you could do this with a small team or by yourself, right? So we have the media buyers that are like, hey, we're going to buy, we're going to do culture buying or media buying on those topics for these pages for this week. They're going to basically communicate that with the social team. The social team is going to come in and be like, hey, these are the most viral topics on these social pages this week, because it's a lot of times the topics are congruent with what we're advertising for. And then the content team will fill in, all right, cool, this is the topics I'm going to write about this week because it makes sense and because it's congruent and because my income is based on getting content that goes viral, and it's only going to go viral if it's congruent. So we keep records this way, and we promote team collaboration. It's actually a lot more in-depth now than it was back on October 10th, but it's essentially the same principle. So quick recap, we went through a whole lot of stuff really, really fast. Secret number one is people engage with communities, not brands. We talked about that really early on, but you end up building a huge brand. And I said I would show you guys an example of that. This is a page I started in 2014 before I knew how to properly name pages. And my username said Addicted to Country Music 14. I was very literal back then. And I sold this page to a group of guys that wanted to use it for their brand. And I sold them on the strategy and using the strategy. And this page, the last time I took the screenshot of it, 3.2 million fans. Once we got to about 1 million fans, we started cross-promoting the brand. And their brand is called Country Rebel. Anybody heard of Country Rebel before? Cool, one person, awesome. Well, that one person is probably a fan of the 4 million fans on this page, which is bigger than their community page. This is their brand page. They sell merchandise. They have a Shopify store. They sell like hats and shirts and wallets, right? I took a screenshot a couple weeks ago, 5.4 million fans. This thing grows at 100,000 fans a week, organically. So you end up building a brand if you start and focus on the community. Secret number two is buy culture, not just cold traffic, and you get a ton of traffic, right? This is another way we measure through a tool called Domo. Pumps it into a report for us. This is our 10 million visitors in the first 45 days. And if you did the math, if you wanted to. There's another screenshot of the same thing. And it's continuing to work, right? This is the month of January. Any given day between 300,000 all the way up to 1.4 million visitors in the month of January. Here's February. We hit a milestone and broke 2 million visitors in a single day. And it just keeps growing every day, which is really, really cool. Content is king, but only when you practice the congruency doctrine. And this is the most important reason why the congruency doctrine is so important, is they keep coming back for more. It's brand-centric, right? People are so worried about building their brand. If you follow the congruency doctrine, you build a brand. They keep coming back for more. We took a screenshot when we first started, a couple months in. 24% of our traffic was returning visitors, people coming back and wanting more content. I took another screenshot between January 1st and February 27th. Over 50% of our visitors were returning to read more content. And in the month of March, 67% returning visitors, because they fall in love with it and they want more of it. It's pretty awesome. Cool. All right. Well, I don't know how much time I have left, but I'm happy to take some of you guys' questions. I also want to share that free gift with you. If you go to atubman.com/free-gift, you can grab the 7-step, I think it's just one guide. So it's the 7-step Tribe Accelerator, and within that guide is a link for the Hot Niche Guide. So you can get that, and then if you have private questions, you can message me. And I don't know, I think I have about 10, 15 minutes. If you guys want to ask any questions, I'm happy to answer some questions. Mike, or I don't know.
Yep, Dreher. So I have a question about these fan pages. I know sometimes Facebook gets you on for like copywriting and like similar images of influential people. Like, how do you get around that with these fan pages? Because you're posting like with Disney and The Big Bang Theory. How do you not get pulled from Facebook?
We don't use logos. So we'll use like, like for example, for print on demand, we'll use like sayings. There's different like quotes and sayings that you can do because those aren't trademarked. The logos are trademarked, so you can't use logos. And I mean, some of the pages that are entertainment based, they're flattered they were running a fan club on their behalf, essentially, right? But we still don't use logos because that would infringe on the copyright.
Okay.
So you could get around that. You could do like silhouettes of the people, or you can just do like, actors or characters or whatever, or quotes. People buy that all day.
So hello?
Yep.
You briefly mentioned that you use BuzzSumo to get content, but when you're first building a fan page, how often do you post, like, just to build it? Do you just like put 30 articles on the same day, or do you schedule it out and
So the 7-step Tribe Accelerator sheet that you're going to get, it has the schedule of how many posts to put. I'll answer right now.
Oh, if it's there.
But it's there. So when you first start, it's 30 posts just to get it going. Okay. You start your media buying or your culture buying, and then we do between 8 and 10 posts a day.
Excellent. Okay.
And it sounds like a lot, but it's okay. There's ways to automate it.
Okay, cool. And last, I'll ask the question and give the mic up. How do you take how do you convert your fan page people into an email list? Do you just drive them to a site to subscribe to, or is there another way you're doing that?
So email lists, for email lists, we'll use like infographics or reports or whatever like your giveaway is. We'll use some enticing way to get them in, because if you just say, hey, join our newsletter, like nobody wants to join that anymore, right? As far as the Facebook Messenger, it's a little bit easier because you can run like a survey, like, hey, shoot us a, or just take the survey, and then based on how they answer the survey, they automatically get subscribed to certain lists. Cool. Any other questions? Trying to process it? That's cool.
So I know you talked about community pages as opposed to brand pages. What if you're in a situation where you're like building like a brick and mortar business, like let's say like a gym, right? And whatever, it's a CrossFit gym, whatever. And you need to be on Facebook, obviously. So would you put your branded gym page up there, or would you start a community page first and then?
Yeah, I would do for a gym. I would do like a I love working out type page, maybe something generic, or maybe like powerlifting or whatever like the focus is. If it like the more specific, sometimes the better, because like powerlifters are just powerlifters, or like CrossFit are just CrossFit. You try talking like Pilates to CrossFit people, they're just like no way, So like the more focused you are, the better. I wouldn't do the brand. The brand page. The brand page is good for cross-promoting once your community page is big enough.
Hi.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So,
I don't know who's talking.
if I have a brand like an outdoor brand, would I start by running like I love fishing or I love hunting or whatever, and then cross-promote to that brand?
What do you sell?
Let's just say T-shirts for outdoor life.
Outdoor life?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good niche. So there's different ways to do it. You go really literal, and you could do like the I love camping or the I love fishing or the I love whatever, which is really literal. Or you can figure out who your audience is. And I know who your audience is. Your audience are like people that are preppers or survival or conservatives, and think outside the box a little bit and think about like I showed a couple examples like Duck Dynasty. Duck Dynasty fans would buy your stuff all day, right? But then there's like 100 other shows like that exist.
Okay. Awesome.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So there's just like two different kind of ways to think about it.
I just had a question about Facebook groups. There's kind of this big movement to get people into Facebook groups versus pages. Do the pages actually, I mean, from what I understand, the groups it notifies everybody in the group when a post goes out. But on a page, you're still getting Facebook being fickle about who all sees the post. Is that true, or what do you know about that?
So Facebook groups just released a new feature yesterday, and I didn't have time to put it into my presentation, but it's really, really cool. So there's ways to link your page with groups now. So you can make intimate sections or premium sections of your page the group, but no matter if it's a list or if it's a group, you still have to get people in there. So like you could use Facebook Messenger lists to engage people one-on-one and to sell them and to retarget them and to do messenger ads. But then you could also do groups for like premium value. So I'll give you an example. Like we have somebody that's in the CBD, like medical, like CBD world, and they have a private community on Facebook, a private group that we're now linking to they have a community page that has 500,000 fans, and now we have a private community that you can't charge for the community, so they pay for the membership. They get the group as the benefit, as the support, and now you have like all these like group members on the page, like sharing testimonials, and like, or in the group sharing testimonials and like sharing with other people. So you could have multiple levels. So you could have a free group, you could have a premium group, and you could kind of up level them based on your sequence or your funnel. Does that kind of make sense? Yes, no, maybe.
But when you get people, say you're buying an ad, and you're getting people to, so you have 1 million people that like your page.
Okay.
And then you put a post on that. Is Facebook showing that to like 1% of that 2 million people?
So the average is between 1 and like 5%, yeah.
Okay. So if you're able to funnel them into a group from the community that you've built, then the group starts seeing more of what you're posting in your content.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're the attractive character for the page or if you hire somebody to be that endorsement or however you're doing it. Let's say you're the face. You can jump on a live on the page, maybe do some back-to-back lives for like a month or 2 months and promote the group, right? Or like promote your membership that is paid or monthly or continuity, and then part of the continuity is getting access to the group.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for great information here. I had a question. You talked just a little bit about running an ad, and can you walk us through a quick walkthrough of how you do your ad and what time you send that out as you're building the fan page? How many fans do you have before you set it up, and what's your kind of process there?
Okay, so basically we built if you go through that guide, it'll kind of tell you, but I'll give you a really quick overview. We build a page a certain way, so we populate it with the timeline cover and the photo. We do 30 posts, and we schedule like 8 to 10 posts a day, and we start culture buying right away. So typically it'll be like $5 ad sets, $5 ads, 1 ad per ad set, very broad age, location, gender in the beginning, but interests are like 1 interest if you can per ad set. And we'll do like 3 interests, so I might be spending like $15 a day or $20 a day on building these things in the beginning. Some pages I'll start at $5 a day. You can start at ad sets at $3 a day or $1 a day if you want it to go slow. Kind of learn. And then when it comes to optimization, the broad targeting that we did in the beginning with the age, gender, and the location, we'll start breaking it down as we learn more about our audience. So if we learn that the 18 to 35-year-olds are costing us 3 cents, but then the 36-year-olds plus is costing us 7 cents, I'm going to break those out and do 2 completely new ad sets. One is going to be 18 to 35, one will be 36 plus. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Cool. We're good?
Okay. Everybody wants to know this question. Nobody wants to ask. I start a fan page today. How fast can I be profitable on it?
So my rule of thumb personally is I don't monetize until I hit 30,000 fans. That could be a high threshold for you, but I personally believe that if you can have the patience to do that, you'll have a lot better asset long term. And that's been my experience. So like my milestone is like I'll start list building at 20,000. I'll start monetizing at 30,000. And I usually shoot for about spending between 1,500 and 2,500 to get there. Yeah. Sometimes it could be less. It could be 500. Just depends on the niche and how passionate they are. Exactly.
Awesome. Guys, huge round of applause for Arthur Tubman. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
Make him feel good.